The year was 1565. The Mediterranean, which had long served as a meeting point and battleground for cultures, now became the stage for one of history's most iconic battles. On one side, the Knights of St. John, a small Christian force determined to defend Malta at all costs. On the other, the Ottoman Empire, a powerful force ruling vast territories with seemingly unshakable might. Yet, while popular narratives often celebrate the defenders of the island, few stop to ask, how did the Ottomans view this siege? What motivated them? What lessons did they draw from their failed attempt to capture Malta? In this video, we'll delve into the Great Siege of Malta from a rarely explored perspective. This isn't just a retelling of events, it's an immersion into the Ottoman side, examining their strategies, motivations, and how they perceived both the conflict and their ultimate defeat. By the end, you won't just understand the behind-the-scenes of this epic battle. You'll see how even the mightiest empires face moments of fragility that reshape their destinies. Stay tuned until the end to uncover a story of ambition, resilience, and learning that echoes to this day. After all, every story has two sides, and this is theirs: historical and geopolitical context. The 16th century was a time of intense struggles for control over the Mediterranean, where the balance of power constantly shifted between the great empires of the age. At the heart of this setting was the Ottoman Empire, an expansive power that, under the ambitious leadership of sultans like Suleiman the Magnificent, consolidated territories spanning from Asia to Europe. Its influence was so vast that the Mediterranean had become a key battleground between the Muslim East and the Christian West. Malta, a seemingly insignificant island, held immense strategic value. Positioned between Europe and North Africa, it served as a critical control point for major trade routes and naval movements. For the Ottomans, conquering Malta meant eliminating a crucial Christian stronghold and paving the way for further incursions into the Western Mediterranean, including Italy, the heart of Christendom. On the Christian side, the stakes were equally high. The Knights of St. John, who governed Malta, were seen as one of the last bastions against Ottoman expansion. Known for their bravery and military expertise, they had been expelled from Rhodes decades earlier, but had established a fortified base on Malta. Their mission was clear: defend the island at all costs and halt the Ottoman advance. The decision to lay siege to Malta was not made lightly. To Sultan Suleiman, Malta symbolized both a threat and an opportunity. The Knights frequently raided Ottoman and Muslim ships, challenging Ottoman authority in the Mediterranean. Furthermore, Malta represented an ideological barrier. This was not just a territorial war, but also a religious one. For the Ottoman Empire, subduing Malta would assert its supremacy over Christianity in the region. Meanwhile, Europe was fraught with political fragmentation. Though united in fear of an Ottoman advance, the Christian kingdoms faced internal challenges, including territorial disputes and dynastic rivalries. This division made it difficult to mount a coordinated response to the siege, and many European leaders relied on the Knights' resistance to buy time and strengthen their own defenses. Thus, Malta became more than a mere island on the map. It symbolized the intersection of two opposing worldviews, two empires with equally grand ambitions, and two religions vying for supremacy for centuries. The battle that ensued would be as much physical as ideological, as strategic as symbolic. And it was in this cauldron of tensions that the Ottomans assembled their military force. Their objective? Break Malta's resistance, consolidate their dominance, and demonstrate to the world that the Mediterranean was theirs. But, like all great military campaigns, the path to glory was fraught with challenges even the greatest empire of the time could not foresee. Ottoman motivations for the siege. By the mid-16th century, the Ottoman Empire was one of the world's most dominant powers. Its territory spanned 3 continents, and its navy controlled much of the eastern Mediterranean. For the Ottomans, the Siege of Malta was not merely a military campaign. It was a strategic and symbolic step in their quest for supremacy in the central and western Mediterranean. The initial motivation lay in Malta's strategic location. The island was a vital control point for maritime routes linking the west and the east. Conquering Malta would secure the flow of supplies and troops between Ottoman territories and weaken European presence in a crucial area for trade and naval power. Additionally, Malta's position offered a launchpad for future campaigns against other Christian territories, including Sicily and eventually the Italian heartland. Yet Ottoman ambition extended beyond territorial pragmatism. The Knights of St. John, defending Malta, were seen as a persistent threat. After being expelled from Rhodes, they had established themselves on the island and continued to launch frequent raids against Ottoman and Muslim ships in the Mediterranean. To Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent, allowing the Knights to continue their operations was an insult to Ottoman authority. Crushing this military order would send a resounding message across Europe. The campaign also carried ideological weight. The war between the Ottomans and European Christian kingdoms was not only military, but also religious. The Ottoman Empire viewed its expansion as part of a mission to consolidate Islam as the dominant faith in its territories and beyond. Capturing Malta, defended by a group of zealous Christians, would deal a symbolic blow to Christian resistance. Internal political motivations also played a role. Success in Malta would be a personal triumph for Suleiman and a reaffirmation of his authority at a time when internal and external challenges threatened his position. Moreover, the siege was a way to galvanize the morale of Ottoman troops and reaffirm the faith of its subjects in the empire's power. Victory in Malta would strengthen Ottoman control over the Mediterranean, boosting its prestige among allies and rivals alike. Another critical factor was the Ottoman confidence in their military might. With a vast and well-trained army, an elite naval fleet, and seemingly endless resources, the Ottomans believed Malta would fall swiftly. They viewed the Knights of St. John as a minor adversary, a symbolic force but ultimately incapable of resisting such a well-orchestrated attack. This underestimation of their opponent would play a significant role in the unfolding events. The Ottomans' motivations were thus a combination of strategy, ideology, politics, and military confidence. Malta represented an essential piece in the Mediterranean power chessboard, and its conquest was deemed inevitable. However, the Ottomans would soon discover that their ambitions faced fierce resistance, transforming the siege into one of the most brutal and challenging battles in their history. The siege was not just a battle for possession of an island. It was a clash of ideals and forces, shaped by objectives far beyond the battlefield. Despite meticulous planning and strong motivations, the path to victory would prove more tortuous and complicated than the Ottomans could have imagined. Strategies and challenges on the battlefield. With their motivations clear and objectives well-defined, the Ottomans began preparing their assault on Malta. Under the leadership of the seasoned Admiral Piali Pasha and the bold General Mustafa Pasha, they amassed an impressive force. A fleet of over 180 ships and approximately 30,000 men was mobilized for the siege. For the Ottoman Empire, this operation was not just a demonstration of power, but also a test of their military machinery's ability to subjugate any opponent. However, as with any military campaign, success depended not only on numbers, but also on effective tactics and precise execution. Tactics and strategies. The Ottoman plan for Malta was divided into two main phases. First, they sought to dominate the territory by completely isolating the island. With their naval fleet strategically positioned around Malta, the Ottomans aimed to cut off any possibility of reinforcements arriving from Europe. This blockade also meant starving the defenders of supplies, weakening their ability to resist over time. Next, the land forces would take action. Heavy artillery was brought in to destroy the fortifications protecting the island, particularly the forts of St. Elmo, St. Michael, and St. Angelo, which were considered the cornerstones of Malta's defense. The Ottomans trusted their cannons to breach the walls and destabilize the enemy's defenses. Simultaneously, their infantry would advance to capture territory, relying on their numerical superiority to crush the Knights of St. John and the civilians aiding them. Challenges on the battlefield. Despite their meticulous preparations, the Ottomans faced a series of unexpected challenges. The first obstacle was geography. Malta was a naturally fortified island, with steep cliffs and terrain that hindered the movement of troops and equipment. Additionally, the knights had reinforced their defenses, turning every inch of the island into a deadly trap for the invaders. Another critical challenge was the fierce resistance of the defenders. Led by Grand Master Jean de Valette, the Knights of St. John fought with an almost supernatural determination. Despite being outnumbered, approximately 6,000 men, including Maltese soldiers and mercenaries, the defenders compensated for their disadvantage with discipline, well-planned tactics, and an intimate knowledge of the terrain. Fort St. Elmo, in particular, became a symbol of Christian resistance, holding out for weeks despite relentless bombardments and brutal assaults. The Ottomans also underestimated their adversaries. They anticipated a quick and decisive victory, but encountered an enemy willing to fight to the last man. This resulted in significant losses for the Ottoman forces. The protracted battle for Fort St. Elmo alone cost thousands of Ottoman lives, sapping the morale of their troops and delaying the campaign's progress. Furthermore, the Ottomans faced environmental and health-related difficulties. Malta, during the summer of 1565, was an unforgiving environment. Intense heat and a lack of potable water created logistical challenges for the Ottomans, who were accustomed to operating in more resource-rich territories. Diseases began to spread among the troops, further weakening their strength. Internal disputes between the Ottoman leaders compounded these difficulties. Mustafa Pasha and Piali Pasha had conflicting opinions on how to conduct the siege, resulting in poorly coordinated decisions and a lack of unity in command. This disorganization became one of the main factors contributing to the campaign's failure. The turning point in resistance. After weeks of relentless fighting, the tide began to turn in favor of the defenders. Despite devastating losses, the Knights managed to hold their positions long enough for reinforcements from Europe to arrive. The Ottomans, exhausted and unable to sustain the siege, were forced to retreat, abandoning their plans to conquer Malta. What was meant to be a swift and glorious victory turned into one of the most humiliating defeats in Ottoman history. Defeat and its consequences. The Great Siege of Malta, which began with the Ottoman Empire's unshakable confidence, ended as one of its greatest military failures. After months of intense battles, constant bombardments, and countless sacrifices, the Ottomans were forced to withdraw. But the defeat at Malta was not just a matter of lost territory. It deeply affected Ottoman pride, reshaped European politics, and left a lasting impact on military history. The aftermath of the siege. When the Ottomans finally abandoned Malta, they had suffered devastating losses. It is estimated that over 20,000 Ottoman soldiers were killed, including many of their elite warriors. The once dominant fleet that had encircled Malta was severely damaged, and the morale of their forces was shattered. The surviving troops left the island in disarray, carrying with them not only the shame of defeat, but also the scars of a resistance they had grossly underestimated. For the Christian side, the victory was hailed as miraculous. The Knights of St. John, led by Grand Master Jean de Valette, emerged as heroes. The resistance at Malta became a symbol of the fight against Ottoman expansion, inspiring not only neighboring kingdoms, but also the Vatican and other European leaders to strengthen their defenses against future attacks. Immediate consequences for the Ottomans. The defeat at Malta deeply shook Ottoman confidence. The empire, which had grown accustomed to swift victories and continuous territorial expansion, now faced a severe blow to its reputation. The failure to capture Malta was not just a military setback. It symbolized the resilience of a small Christian stronghold against what many viewed as an invincible force. Politically, the defeat weakened Sultan Suleiman's standing. Although he was not present at the siege, the failure of his generals reflected poorly on his leadership. Internally, this sparked tensions within the Ottoman elite, raising questions about the effectiveness of their military strategy and command in the field. Mustafa Pasha, one of the key leaders of the siege, faced severe criticism and saw his reputation tarnished. From a military perspective, the loss of so many troops and resources impacted the Ottomans' ability to pursue other campaigns. Rebuilding the fleet and replacing the fallen soldiers' delayed plans for further Mediterranean conquests. The defeat also underscored the reality that even the largest empire of the time was not invincible. The legacy of the Great Siege of Malta. The Great Siege of Malta left a profound impact that extended far beyond 1565. It was not merely a military episode, but an event that shaped cultural, military, and religious narratives for centuries. For both Christians and Ottomans, the siege became a powerful symbol of resilience for one side and a moment of reckoning for the other, reshaping how civilizations viewed conflicts between ideologies and empires. Historical impact. For the Christian West, Malta was forever remembered as an impregnable fortress and a turning point in the struggle against Ottoman expansion. The victory elevated the status of the Knights of St. John, solidifying their reputation as heroes throughout Europe. Their resistance became an enduring example of determination, inspiring future military campaigns, including the renowned Battle of Lepanto in 1571, which further weakened Ottoman naval dominance. For the Ottoman side, the siege served as a reminder of the limitations of even the mightiest empires. The failure to capture Malta exposed logistical weaknesses, strategic miscalculations, and the perils of underestimating smaller, determined enemies. It also demonstrated the critical importance of unified command, a factor that had been sorely lacking during the siege. Military legacy. The siege provided invaluable lessons in both offensive and defensive military tactics. For the defenders, the effective use of terrain, the reinforcement of fortifications, and the tenacious resistance against overwhelming odds became hallmarks of strategic defense. The Knights' success demonstrated that superior knowledge of local geography and a strong defensive position could neutralize an attacking force's numerical advantage. For the Ottomans, the defeat highlighted the need to adapt their strategies to complex environments and improve logistical planning. It also underscored the dangers of overconfidence and the necessity of carefully coordinating leadership in large-scale campaigns. The battle's influence extended to architectural developments as well. Malta's fortifications, which proved crucial to the victory, became a model for military engineering across Europe. Many castles and forts built after the siege incorporated features designed to withstand artillery bombardments, inspired by Malta's resilience. Cultural and religious repercussions. Culturally, the siege became a potent narrative for both sides. In the Christian world, it symbolized divine intervention and the strength of faith in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. This narrative was immortalized in paintings, music, and literature, reinforcing Malta's role as a beacon of Christian resistance. For the Ottomans, while the defeat was not widely celebrated, it became a moment of introspection. The empire's ability to recover from such a loss and maintain its dominance for centuries demonstrated its resilience. Nevertheless, the siege marked a gradual shift in the Mediterranean's balance of power, which slowly began to favor European forces. Malta in modern context. Today, the legacy of the siege is deeply ingrained in Malta's national identity. The island's fortifications and monuments commemorating the battle stand as symbols of pride and historical significance. The siege is celebrated as a defining moment that united the Maltese people and secured their place in global history. Globally, the Siege of Malta is studied as a prime example of the interplay between determination, leadership, and the importance of preparation in military history. It serves as a reminder of how seemingly small events can have far-reaching consequences. Lessons from the siege. The Great Siege of Malta offers enduring lessons about the nature of power, ambition, and resilience. For the Ottomans, the defeat emphasized the importance of not underestimating one's adversary and the need for adaptable strategies. For the European defenders, it showcased how unity and determination could overcome even the most formidable opponents. The siege was more than just a battle. It was a clash of ideologies and empires, where military might met the unyielding spirit of resistance. It revealed the strengths and vulnerabilities of both sides, leaving a legacy that continues to inspire and educate. Closing thoughts. The Great Siege of Malta is more than a remarkable episode from the 16th century. It's a story that transcends time, filled with lessons about ambition, resistance, and adaptation. On one side, the Knights of St. John, outnumbered but driven by unbreakable resolve, transformed the island of Malta into a symbol of defiance. On the other, the Ottoman Empire, mighty and confident in its dominance, faced a humbling defeat that redefined its strategic ambitions. This battle was not just physical, it was ideological and symbolic. It demonstrated that conflicts between civilizations are shaped not only by military strength, but also by beliefs, leadership, and the ability to learn from adversity. For the Christian world, the siege was a miraculous victory that united fragmented kingdoms and inspired new alliances. For the Ottomans, it was a moment of reflection, underscoring the importance of re-evaluating strategies and leadership. Throughout this video, we explored the often overlooked Ottoman perspective. Understanding the other side is not just a matter of historical justice, but a way to uncover deeper truths. After all, every story has multiple layers, and what we see depends on where we stand. What did you think of this analysis? How do you view the legacy of such a complex event as the Siege of Malta? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to our channel for more content that brings fresh perspectives to history's great events. Don't miss our next video, where we'll delve into the military tactics that defined the Mediterranean during this era. History isn't just about victories and defeats. It's about the lasting impact these moments leave on all of us. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.